You have an offer coming soon? Well, stay tuned, or else you might make the same mistake that 64% of other people make when they get their job offers. Alright, and in case you're new here, my name is Cliff Allen, and this is my channel, Declassify My Career, where I like to provide you with insider secrets and tips and tricks to help you further along your career path. And today we're going to be talking about how to negotiate a job offer and still get hired. Based on data taken from ZipRecruiter and Robert Half, they found that between 61% and 64% of candidates that are offered jobs take the first offer without negotiating at all.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Now, I'm sure some of those people that maybe met what they needed or what they were wanting, and so they went ahead and accepted. But I have a feeling that a lot of those individuals that also accepted left money on the table. So in this video, I'm dispelling some misnomers about negotiating for salaries, as well as sharing 3 key secrets on what you need to keep in mind when it comes to salary negotiation to make sure that you both get the job that you want and you get paid the amount that you both want and need. So without further ado, let's get started. Now I understand the prospect or the idea of negotiating salary can be kind of scary. In fact, if you're worried about any part of negotiating salary, go ahead and leave me some comments in the comment section below. But yeah, before we get started with the keys or dispelling some of the misnomers, I think it's important to talk about the 3 places where you're going to run into talking about money. So it's going to be when you complete your application at the first part of the process, probably when you have your first initial phone interview, and at the last step when it comes to negotiating the job. Now, it's important to take note that when it comes to what you currently make, you technically don't have to share it. There's some different ways that you can get around it. If it's during a phone interview, you could say, I feel more comfortable talking about my skills and how much I would be interested in making for the role as opposed to what I'm making right now. And if it's on a job application, if it's a required field, you could just put the number 1, and that would let you get through the process. That way, if you don't necessarily have someone forming a conception of your worth based on what you're currently making, because maybe you have a skill or an ability for that new job that you've applied for that is unrelated to what you're currently doing, right? So let's say you're a rad tech in school, but you currently work as a pizza delivery guy. You shouldn't be held according to what you're making as a pizza delivery guy, because they should be hiring you based on your experience from school. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and continue on. So the first key, the first step that you need to keep in mind when it comes to negotiating a salary is you need to understand what you need versus what you want. For knowing what you need, that's gonna be the bare essentials. So do you have any bills? Do you have any loans? Do you have a house or an apartment? Do you have a car? Do you have any dependents? Will you have to move for this job? I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind when it comes to salary negotiations, because whatever they're paying you for what you work for, that's what's going to be paying for all this stuff. So that's what you're going to put on your needs list. All right, that list is going to be bare minimum. I need to make this much money in order to be comfortable and work in this role. Now, after you've made your bare minimum of needs list, you're going to want to make a want list. And for your want list, you need to think about what is it that you desire from this job offer. So maybe you want to make 20% more than you currently make. Or maybe you want to get assistance to relocate to a certain area. Maybe you're an executive and you want a private helicopter or a jet. I don't know. Think about what it is that you want and put that down the list. Now, it's very important that you don't put on your wants list something that's more valuable than the position itself. So if I'm going to be burger flipper at Wendy's, I'm not going to put that I want a personal phone, because the value of that asset's going to exceed what I add value as a part of their group. Be reasonable, all right? So things like 20% more in salary increase, sign-on bonuses, those can be reasonable requests depending on what job you're going for. And now that you have your list of what you need versus what you want, that's gonna carry you on into the second secret. And the second secret is that you need to know the value of the position itself. And how can you do that, right? You don't have all this insider information. You're not a recruiter in the company. So how do you know the value of the position to that company? Well, luckily for you, there's a load of websites that provide position information. All right, so there's monster.com, there's Glassdoor, I think Career Builder does it too, where you can put in the information of what the job is. So if I was gonna get a new recruiting job, for example, I could go on monster.com, put in recruiter, and put in the location that I was going to move to, and it would give me the average pay for being a recruiter in that area. And they'll give you the median, they'll give you the low end and the high end. Now, when you have that range of salary information, that's where you need to understand your value as an employee. So if you just started working in this area, then you're not going to be able to ask for the high end of the range because you don't have enough experience for that. Now, you can ask for maybe a little bit lower. So like, let's say I wanted to be a recruiter in Georgia and their lower end of their salary was 45K, and the median was 56. I want more than 45, so maybe I'm going to ask for 50 or 49, right? So I mean, it's still lower than the median, but it's where people with more experience would be, but it's still higher than the very bottom of it, right? So that's what you got to keep in mind. And that's going to lead me on to secret number 3, or step number 3, whatever you want to call it. But this part is knowing how to ask. And this is very important. So a lot of people, when I talk to them about negotiating salaries, etc., they tell me that they're afraid that the job offer is going to be taken away from them, or they're going to give it to someone else, or maybe they're going to offend the recruiters or the hiring managers for asking for too much money, etc. So if you've done your prep work, now that you know how much the role is worth, you have all this information and you know what you need, you can make a much more informed ask when it comes to salary negotiations. So role play real quick. Let's say the recruiter calls you on the phone, they're really excited to offer you the role, they give you the job offer, they tell you how much the salary amount is, etc. Now, firstly, you're gonna wanna have a set amount of time to think over what it is that they offered you, and make sure that they give you information about what the benefits are gonna be for the role, if there are benefits, what's salary information, what paid time off or vacation days do you get. Those are 3 very important things to keep in mind while you're gonna think about negotiating. All right, now that you have this information and you have your set time period, you take the offer that they gave you and compare it to your lists. Does it meet everything that I need? Okay, perfect. Now, does it meet any of my wants? Now, when you look at your wants, you want to be reasonable because this is a negotiation. Ideally, it's a win-win if you get hired because A, now you have a new job, and B, they're able to fill this role that's been open for them so they can get that work done. So look at your list of wants and think of what is reasonable to ask for. Let's say they offered you 55K and you want to ask for more money. So you gotta weigh their ask versus how much value you bring. So if you've been in that field for 8 to 10 years, you should be at the higher end of that range that you looked at for secret step number 2. So if they offer you below that, then you need to be like, well, based on my understanding of the value of this position in this geographic location and how much experience I have, I would feel more comfortable if you could offer me X amount of money. And as long as you're providing an explanation for what you're asking for, it's a reasonable request, right? So I would like to ask for a $3,000 relocation bonus in addition to my salary to help me move since I live more than 75 miles from the work location. They can always say no. I mean, that's the thing. So they're not going to automatically just rescind the offer. What will happen is you'll present your counter offer and they'll either, entertain it. They'll be like, okay, maybe we can't do this, but we can do this part. Or they'll just stand firm at their original offer, be like, hey, based on what we have in the budget, this is what we're offering. And so if they stand firm at what they offered, you need to ask yourself for your first list of your wants versus your needs, is this something I'm willing to take? And will I have to do any personal sacrifices if I take this offer? And if you will have to take personal sacrifices, are those sacrifices you're willing to make? If yes, then I guess go ahead and move forward. But if not, then that's where you would unfortunately say, I can't accept this offer. But if maybe they try to give you some concessions, they're like, we can't offer you $3,000 for a relocation bonus, but we can offer you $1,500, or we can't offer you $65,000, but we can offer you $62,000. Then you take their counter offer back to your counter offer, and again, compare it back to that list. And if it's meeting the majority of the things that you need in order to live comfortably, then go ahead and accept the offer. And so remember, you want to understand what you want versus what you need. You want to understand what the value of the position is. You want to understand how to ask them for it in a way that shows that you're a considerate person for what they need, but also for what you need in order to thrive. So those are my 3 keys for negotiating a salary. If you want more information about that, or if you have a very specific situation that you want to go over, feel free to reach out to me either on my email, which is in the description below, or on one of my social media pages. And please do like and subscribe. I'm going to be offering way more information and way more videos, so stay tuned, and I'll catch you next time to help you further declassify your career.